Manifestation isn't about forcing yourself to think positively 24/7 or pretending that your challenges don't exist. I just made so many sales. Like I just made 50K talking about sales, and we were planning for Black Friday. And there was one girl with us in the mastermind who just casually, like on that day in this conference room that we were talking about this, made, I think it was like 50K in an hour or something because she put up that sale. And I was like, that's insane. Like, that's what I made in a whole year.
Welcome to Blisstopia podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Castellani, life purpose coach, business owner, and your spiritual guide on all things mindset, manifestation, and purpose. This podcast is a space for deep reflections, meaningful conversations to help you expand your mind, dive into the depths of your soul, and create a life that makes you feel alive. Whether you're walking, driving, or simply vibing, take a deep breath and get ready to dive. Hello, my love. Welcome to another episode of Blisstopia podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Castellani, and I'm so happy to be talking about this topic. This is one of my favorite topics ever, and I brought you an expert in the field. We're going to be talking about manifestation today. Such a fun topic, such an expansive topic that really gets us all to dream and to really realize that we are absolutely limitless in the things that we can create. So I brought to the show today Alisa Pretz. Alisa is a mindset and manifestation coach from Berlin. She's the host of the Inspire Your Soul podcast. Her mission is to guide women back to themselves to help them embody their main character energy. We're going to talk about that, what it means, bring their visions to reality, and manifest a life that feels deeply aligned and authentically their own. She blends soulful spiritual tools with clear, grounded action, making transformation not just inspirational, but truly lived. Welcome, Alisa, to the show. I'm super, super happy to have you.
Yay. Thank you for having me, Mercedes. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I know we're going to have fun here. So, fun fact, Alisa and I, it's kind of funny, like we're in the same spiritual tribe. We haven't been in the same mastermind or anything yet, but we're kind of in the same spiritual tribe. We both worked with the same coach at different times. But yeah, I knew that Alisa was with this coach in Miami, and I just saw her and I was like, oh my God, like who's this person? It's like a little angel. I love her energy. And she posts many things on German, which I cannot understand, but I'm like, I'm just here for the vibes. Like, honestly,
I love that. I love that. Thank you for saying that. I get this a lot. Like just also my best friend Becca, who I also know her through working with this coach. She also is like, I hate that I cannot really understand what you're saying, but like I'm here for the vibes, I'm just here for the vibes. So I'm like, okay, great. Amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm super happy to be diving into this topic that we're both very passionate about. So this audience, the Blisstopia audience, is well versed in terms of manifestation. So I wanted to take this opportunity with you to go a little bit further. Let's take the fundamentals. Let's understand that a lot of these people, they know the fundamentals. So how can we go even further into the manifestation discussion? So I would like to start first by asking you. I mean, both you and I, we know that manifestation is a lot more than just the good vibes and all of the things that we see sometimes oversimplifications on Instagram or Pinterest. So, how do you define manifestation?
Yes, really nice question. And I love that your audience is already so familiar with the topic in advance so that we can like get right into it. Manifestation isn't about forcing yourself to think positively 24/7 or pretending that your challenges don't exist. To me, manifesting or manifestation is the process of becoming the version of yourself who naturally experiences what you desire. It's identity work, it's self-concept work, it's nervous system work. It's actually living in alignment with the future that you're calling in before it shows up in the physical world. And so for me, I always say manifestation is the integration of mind, body, emotion, and also taking action, which, people often forget that part. And so just like as a reminder, that, but your thoughts create your internal world, which creates your feelings, and your feelings or your emotions influence the decisions you make and the actions that you take or sometimes don't take. And those actions in the end up creating your reality. And so, yeah, manifesting is aligning your thoughts with your feelings and your actions to bring that specific goal or dream into reality, and it's about becoming the version of yourself who already has it, so that it arrives as, yeah, like a natural result. That's what I always say.
Yeah, and I love this thing. It's becoming the person who already has those things. Like it's normal to have whatever, that kind of job, that kind of business, that kind of wealth, that kind of relationships. It's normal for those things to be in your life because you've defined yourself as a certain kind of woman and now you just get to experience those things.
Yeah,
It's a lot
exactly,
of
but
work to
it's
get there.
easier said than done, right? Yeah. It's like, okay, well, then it's this, fake it till you make it kind of thing, and I wouldn't say it is fake it till you make it, but it definitely, like, there are some aspects of it for sure, like, to behave a certain way that you would when you if you already had it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it sounds easier.
Said that then, for sure. So let's imagine a woman listening to this podcast and she knows all the concepts, right? Like she knows the fundamentals of manifestation. She's been trying to manifest this thing and she's been trying to manifest this thing for a while, but it's not happening. Whether that's a new job that she wants to land, that it's not happening, a new level in business, and she's doing everything it takes, it's not happening, a new partner, like she's really doing all the things and she knows the concepts, but she still feels stuck. So, what do you think in those situations could be missing when people are putting in the effort, but it's just not manifested yet?
It could definitely be more things than just this one thing, but the first thing that came to mind for me is that, and what I see with my client is what's usually missing is exactly what I just talked about before, is like the embodiment part. So, and I mean, like, very specifically, you could say that you want the relationship, like you want to manifest that dream partner, that love of your life and whatever, but you could still end up then choosing or saying yes to the emotionally unavailable guys that are not at all, the type of guy that you actually want to attract into your life, but because you are not really embodying that, let's just say, the high value woman that you would have to be for this man to actually land in your life. Yeah, you're missing the embodiment part. Or you could say, I want the financial abundance, but you could still feel very guilty when you spend money. And so there's like, the gap is usually between what we want and who we believe we are, or who we believe we are allowed to be. And the manifestation will unfold when your identity is congruent with your desire.
Absolutely. So, what are the common mistakes that people usually make in their manifestation journey that maybe you've seen on your clients or
Mhm.
you've experienced yourself? Which are some of the common mistakes that happen?
Something that I definitely experienced myself, and I fall into this trap all the time, is like, and I think we all do at some point, is one of the most common mistakes is like this manifesting from lack. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're trying to manifest something because you don't believe that you are enough without it, like without having it, so you're like, okay, I need my business to succeed and I need X amount of clients in my programs because I deep down believe that I'm only worthy when I make this amount of money or produce any valuable results. So I think this is a very common mistake that a lot of women make, who like tie their worth to a specific outcome, and they want that coming from a place of lack. So, like, much better would be, not really needing it at all. You're just desiring it, but you're worthy even if you never have this. And then it's like, boom, quantum leaping and it arrives. So that's a mistake that I definitely, like I said, make all the time and have to remind myself of it as well. I think another one is over attaching to the timelines, like to like when it is arriving in your life. So like not trusting the timeline of your or the timing of your manifestation and trying to control the outcome, like just pushing a little bit harder, forcing it to arrive quicker. So, a lot of my clients are women who are actually wanting to manifest their dream partner, and they're always like, but where will I meet him? When will I meet him? Why haven't I met him yet? And they put so much pressure on themselves and on the timing of their manifestation. And I just believe that pressure collapses intuition. So you lose, or oftentimes you lose the ability to receive this intuitive guidance from your higher self or from your soul, that sometimes it's even maybe trying to guide you into a total different direction, but you're so attached to that specific one outcome that you want or that one timeline, and it can only come through this way. Like with me, with me, for example, I always believe, okay, the money in my business can only come through, signing clients and launching my programs in this one specific way that I've learned it. And when it then doesn't happen maybe in the way that I think it has to happen, then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm too attached to that one timeline and that one specific way that it can happen. And sometimes it's great to just like lean back and actually look from more of like a bird's eye view. What else is there that I'm not seeing here?
Mm.
Yeah, I think those are the two ones that come to mind for me right
Absolutely.
now.
And I can totally relate. I know when I had been single for a couple of years and I wanted to be with a partner. And when I was in this place of, I need a partner to come and kind of like, I don't know, feel my life because otherwise I'm going to feel lonely and blah, 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 blah. And I needed the partner and I wanted it to work with this one guy at this specific time. The recipe for
Yeah.
disaster. Of course, it's not working. Of
Yeah.
course, you're putting resistance. Of course, the other person can feel the desperation and they're like, I'm out of here. And then the
Yeah,
moment I
it's
said, you know what? I want to be with someone, but I love my life. Like my single life is fantastic. If you come to add value to my life, let's have even more fun together. But I'm doing fantastic over here. And then I was like, well, if it's not this guy, it's going to be the next one. Well, if it's not the guy. And it's kind of like you release that grip of things and you just let them be. And they actually happen even faster than if you're like holding the thing like for dear life.
Yeah, exactly. You just become a lot more playful, right? And you just try more things, not needing them to work out or not having any expectations. And then maybe I don't know, maybe you dated even a guy where you're like, oh no, this will never work. It's not even my type. But then he maybe introduces you to a friend or whatever. And you're like, okay, this is funny. Like the universe is funny like that sometimes. So yeah, I love that you also experienced that.
Absolutely. So you touched on something and you were saying, okay, maybe someone wants wealth and they want love, but maybe their nervous system is not ready for all of that yet because we've been used to struggle or we've been used to loneliness. So, how do we introduce the nervous system in all of this so that we can expand our capacity to hold all of this abundance, all of this love? And do you have any things that you have done in your own life to expand your nervous system?
Yeah, for sure. So working with the nervous system was only brought to my attention, I think, maybe last year through my best friend Becca, because she is a nervous system coach, and she started talking about this, and she's like, "You need to regulate your fucking nervous system, to feel safe to receive." And I was like, "Okay, what the hell is that?" Like, I have never really heard about it before, but now I get it, and I didn't even realize that I was doing that also in my work. I just didn't call it nervous system regulation. So, yeah, like you already said, right? The nervous system determines what we believe is safe to receive. And we will only allow the amount of money or love or pleasure, visibility, whatever that feels safe to our body to hold. And so I don't know. I think I was dealing a lot with or still sometimes am dealing with this fear of being seen, like this pattern of being punished for visibility. Because and when I was younger in my school, like I'm not saying that I received a lot of like hate for that, but I definitely felt unsafe in school being I don't know. I think this sounds arrogant a little bit. And this is another fear of mine. It's like, I never want to sound arrogant, but just like being like maybe one of the prettier girls in school who got more attention from boys. Like I felt so unsafe in that. And I got so much criticism from girls. And so I still struggle with that. My nervous system sometimes doesn't feel to be very visible and seen and just like stand in my truth and my power. And so I sometimes feel like I want to shrink and hide.
Mm.
And I've done things like breath work, somatic therapy. Yeah, just like training my body to feel safe actually being seen first by people that I trusted, and I was not really feeling unsafe with like my boyfriend, for example, or my friends. And then just like a muscle, you train that and the muscle gets bigger and it can hold more. And so then I was like expanding and doing it more also online.
Mm.
And now it's a full like thing for me. I always talk about being your authentic self and being the main character. And, it's okay to want all these big things in life. And now I would say I do feel safe saying that, but there's still always new levels to that. So if I were to now quantum leap in my business, I would probably have to deal with this all over again. It's just like to allow myself to now be seen at this new level and then that new level. And yeah, I think it's about teaching your body again and again and again. It's like I'm safe to receive more.
Mm.
And I do that through, yeah, like I said, mostly I've done a lot of breath work, especially in the past couple of weeks. And that's always very helpful for me.
Thank you so much for sharing this because I know it's also vulnerable to share those layers. Thank you so much. And
Mhm.
I think it really illustrates very well, if we don't feel safe in being visible, or if we don't feel safe in that abundance, if we don't feel safe in love, because maybe we feel like we're going to be rejected or we're going to be abandoned, then we can very, very gently, we can train our nervous system to be like, it's okay, like you've got this, it's fine. And it's like we get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we start doing things like being a lot more visible, or, really, okay, doing that thing, getting that crazy thing that you've been wanting to get for a while, and stuff like that. And you can train yourself to get slowly, slowly bigger. Of course, it's not always comfortable, but we are expanding those limits. And then when you realize, you're like, wow, my God, like I'm doing things I never thought I would be able to do. And that's also the beauty, that we can surprise ourselves in how big we actually are when we allow ourselves
Yeah,
to be that big.
so true. And then it just becomes your new normal and you don't even see it as this special anymore. So this also sometimes so like, it amazes me how I look back on stuff that I have in my life maybe now, and I'm like, "Oh, this is not enough and I want more." But, like, the past version of myself would see that and be like, "What the hell? This is everything we ever wanted, like, 5 years ago." And so, yeah, the nervous system does it gets used to it actually very quickly when you truly practice, and then it becomes just your new standard. So I love that view. Like, I love those moments where you realize that and how far you've actually come.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's about making those things that feel unsafe or foreign, just getting used to them. Like it's normal to have all of these, like it makes sense for me to have all of these, to experience all of these, and it's safe for me to have all of this. There's this sense of safety. And I think we can intellectualize as much as we want, but the body, the subconscious mind, the body, they need to feel safe. And you're going to feel it in your body or not. That's the game. It's not in the mind, it's in the body.
Exactly. Yes, 100%.
Absolutely. So let's imagine a woman that she's in this she's in this journey, right? She wants wealth, but she still identifies with struggle. She wants love, but she still identifies with loneliness. So how do we close that energetic gap?
Yeah, it's a really good question actually, because I think this is one of the most important parts of manifestation work because I feel like most people are not really struggling with wanting something. Like we have all these dreams and goals and whatever, but we're struggling to become the version who can actually hold it. So we do have to talk about like, okay, how do we close that energetic gap? And yeah, like you said, if someone says, I want wealth, but their body is still calibrated to survival or struggle because they learned very early on that like in order to be wealthy or even make any money you have to work hard and it does always you need to struggle otherwise it's not worth it or whatever. Or someone thinks I want love but their nervous system is wired to, like you said, being alone means being safe, and so therefore you're always sabotaging your goals of actually wanting love because it doesn't feel safe for your body and your subconscious mind, because you probably think like being seen puts me at risk, or yeah, like what we had before, I don't get to have it unless I suffer for it. So I always say the work is not to like force a new identity but to more so repattern the old one. So I have a process that I guide women through to do this. If you want, I can just like very briefly go over it's like
Yes,
four
please.
four points.
Please.
Maybe that makes it a little bit more like Understandable. So the first part is that you have to be aware of your old identity. We What I love to do is to actually name, like put a name on this specific identity that I feel like is currently running the show. So let's say the independent one, who never needs anything, or the good girl who doesn't take up too much space. Um, and these identities were so smart and intelligent at the time that they were formed. That's very, very like so important for women to understand that they don't want to do us any bad. They just are trying to keep us safe, protected, validated. And so I feel like the next thing that we need to do is to honor them and not shame them or shame us that this is my old identity and whatever, but just like actually, yeah, give them love and also ask myself, like, okay, what is this identity here for? Like, what is she trying to protect me from? Is the first step. And then the second step is what we already touched on, like the somatic release, the body work, because the identity is not really in the mind or not just in the mind, but it lives in the body. And so that's where I also like to bring in breath work. I love EFT tapping
Mm.
and movement. Yeah, to let the body release the old emotional memory maybe that's attached to this identity. Yeah, and then the third step, or what I like to do then next, is to build this new identity that you want to adopt, but like truly one small step at a time. So I don't know, let's say for example, when someone compliments you, you start to train yourself to just say thank you instead of deflecting or brushing it off, or you allow for help. Like when someone wants to help you or support you, you're like, okay, well, there's this old identity that's like, okay, I'm the independent one. I could do it myself. I don't need you. And so you start to like just allow for small help and support from people around you.
Mm.
Yeah. And this way, over time, I feel like you start to adopt this new normal where your nervous system learns, okay, this is actually safe for me, and you're starting to close this energetic gap between the old identity versus the new one. And then you can start, and this may be then the last step, if you will, start to act from this new identity more and more before it feels truly natural. And this is like how I would do is just like ask myself all the time, how would the version of me who already has this move today, or what decision would she make now? Like basically what would my higher self do, if you will? And
Mm.
then yeah, that's how I would go about it. And it sounds, maybe, I don't know, maybe it sounds easy, maybe it doesn't, but it's a full process. Like sometimes it can take a day or a week if it's a very small thing, but mostly I feel like this a true identity shift from, let's say, a hustler to someone who's more soft and like trusting can take years. Like there's always moments when my old identity comes back and I'm like, "Oh, I know you very well, but no, thank you. Like let's shift back into the new one." So yeah, it takes a lot of patience and love, and just, yeah, love for yourself so that you're actually doing this work. It's so powerful, and you could be so proud of yourself for doing that, because most people never will.
Absolutely. And also, when we work at the level of the identity, it's literally the deepest work we can be doing. So, to really switch, it might be a minor switch, right? Like from one word, I am this thing, to I am this other thing. I am the independent versus I am, I don't know, the loved one. And it can truly, it's a huge shift. It's one word, it's one identity, but then it just, there's so many repercussions in your whole life, things that you're going to do, things that you're not going to do. It's like, it's ginormous. So it's maybe like a 2 millimeter change, but then the whole trajectory of your life and the realities that you're going to create and your behaviors, etc., and the way people are going to respond to you, it's a huge change. And I love how you have these different steps that are clear and gentle to really guide people through that process.
Yeah, so you understand actually what it is that you're doing, right? And you can also come once you've kind of mastered it, or once you've done it, you can also do it yourself again and again, because there's always going to be new identities that you're wanting to adopt on your journey over the years, I feel like.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, if we focus on business and success, what has been the biggest game changer for you in terms of manifesting success in your business, manifesting wealth? What were the things that really moved the needles for you?
I don't know, maybe it sounds cliche also because we're coaches, but it's just the truth. the truth for me, so I don't want to lie and say something else, but the 2 main things for me that's been biggest game changer were, first of all, mentorship or, like, getting coached by someone, and second of all was the sisterhood, so the connections that I made because of that. So, like I said, we know each other, kind of know each other because of this one coach that we both worked with. I met my best friend through working with her. Then I flew to Miami for this business mastermind retreat. I met such incredible women, like just receiving support and being surrounded by people that you find inspiring and who expand you just truly and simply works. So, yeah, I feel like there's not really anything else um that I could say right now that has helped me in the same way to manifest the success in my business that I have had or the wealth that I have now, maybe compared to, I don't know, 5 years ago. It was really that. It was mentorship and the sisterhood that came with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the mentor is a person that expects you somewhere, she has certain expectations maybe of you, and this creates the Pygmalion effect. So if the person is expecting you to be at a certain level, then you're going to start showing up as much as you can on that level. And then if you have these women that are just like you, like, maybe like normal women, intelligent women, and you're like, but if they can do it, like, so can I, right? And we're showing the nervous system, like, and then the good thing is you say, but everybody's doing it. Like, it's so normal, right? Everybody's doing it. And that's like, good. It worked.
Yeah, exactly. It just make such things that you feel like, "What the fuck is going on?" feel normal for you. So I remember in this mastermind when we went at that retreat, we were talking about sales and we were planning for Black Friday. And there was one girl with us in the mastermind who just casually, like on that day in this conference room that we were talking about this, made, I think it was like 50K in an hour or something because she put up that sale. And I was like, that's insane. Like, that's what I made in a whole year, the year before that mastermind. And but she just the way that she was also like talking about it and she's like, "Oh guys, I just made so many sales. Like I just made 50K." And she was so cool and chill about it. I was like, "Okay, wow, this is insane." But it also feels now more normal to me because I'm not putting her on this pedestal. I'm literally in the same mastermind with her.
Mm.
So if she can do it, I can do it, like you said. And that's so powerful. I feel like we cannot find anything like that or for me at least, it wasn't the case in the environment that I grew up with because I don't have entrepreneurs around me. I don't have so many very ambitious women around me. I have amazing friends from childhood still, but they just are on different paths. And so I love to put myself into rooms like this to, yeah, be expanded.
Yes, and it's very, I think when you're a business owner, it's a very specific set of situations that you go through with, with the roller coaster of owning your own business. And sometimes you have days when you're like on the top of the world, and then some other times nothing works and tech is against you and whatever happens. And you need people who are kind of in the same journey so that you can share these things and they can tell you, like, I mean, like when you're on a high and maybe you've had a fantastic month and you're so in love with your job and your impact, etc., people that can be there for you and they can really celebrate with you. Because I feel like sometimes when you talk to other people who are maybe not business owners, they just have their job, they just get their salary, high, low, whatever it might be, but they just get their salary. They don't really understand like the rush of adrenaline of when you have like a super nice month or a super nice launch, etc., and you want to celebrate with people. And also they're not going to understand, like, okay, now I have this tech thing and I cannot seem to figure it out because there's no IT support. I cannot just message my IT support
Yeah.
because I'm the IT support here.
Not only that, I'm everyone else too, the IT support, the bookkeeper, the whatever coach, the content creator, social media manager. It's like, oh my God, so many hats that we're wearing. Yeah, that's so true.
Yes, yes. So I think having people who are, just as crazy as us to be in the entrepreneurial journey, it really helps because then we can laugh about these things instead of being like, okay, whatever, like
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
so true.
Fantastic. So always in the manifestation journey, we hear a lot about quantum leaping and timeline shifting and all of these fancy names, right? So what is actually quantum leaping for the person who maybe they've experienced it, but they didn't know that this thing had a name. And do you have any stories of you with quantum leaping?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't actually use the word quantum leap so much in my work. I just realized when you were talking, maybe because subconsciously I do feel like what you also said, like it's such an overused word in the manifestation bubble and people are not even taking it seriously anymore. But it's such a real thing. Like it happens all the time, especially when you do this work, right? So how would I explain this? I would say quantum leaps happen when your identity shifts faster than your circumstances. So you are so into this work and you're so like in the embodiment of the thing that you're wanting to call in call in that you don't even notice that you stop living from your past self and you chose to act from your future self already today, so much so that like your whole reality reorganizes itself around you. And suddenly you're like in this new reality where you're like, wow, how and when exactly did this happen? Like it's so crazy. And I'm not gonna lie, like I don't even like this year, for example, I very consciously said that I don't want to be in a quantum leap this year
Mhm.
because it can be so tough. Like it's I don't know, I don't want to scare anyone, but when the quantum leap is there, I feel like it's a lot to navigate. So for example, in 2023, I think was my last year where I felt like I had so many quantum leaps. So the first thing was that I moved out from my home very, very late. I moved out when I was 26 and immediately I already had my business. It was starting to take off. And I moved out immediately into my like fucking dream apartment. Like an apartment that I thought I would live when I was like 40 years old or something like that. Because we have an incredible view on a lake right in front of our home. Like I post about it on Instagram all the time and moved in here with my partner. So that was a quantum leap, coming from my little like child's bedroom, living with my mom into this was crazy. And I have only been manifesting this apartment for, I don't want to lie, but it wasn't more than a month. So I literally sat down with Alex. We were writing our like, I call this my wish list to the universe, where we were just like, thank you for this beautiful apartment with this, that, and the other thing. And we found it like a month later and it was all so easy. We could move in immediately and that was a crazy quantum leap. I also joined this specific business mastermind that same year, actually that same month that we moved into this apartment.
Wow.
That was also like, yeah, just such a quantum leap because my income significantly raised that year. Like I said, I solo traveled to Miami. I met my best friend. So many great things happened that year in such a short amount of time. But like my identity had to keep up with it. Sometimes you fall back, like you're sabotaging your success essentially. So definitely that happened to me. I quantum leaped. I enjoyed it for a while. And then I could feel myself sabotaging myself because this old fear kept creeping back in of like, it cannot possibly be that good. Like, do you actually deserve this? Like, and then I started to become a little bit more lazy. I was like, okay, well, I had this good year in business. Now let's take it a little bit more slow. And then my income dipped again. And I definitely noticed I had been getting into a little bit more like arguments with my boyfriend than I had previously been in because like we just moved into this great apartment and like we had everything we wanted and we were so in love. And also that felt still a little bit unsafe for my nervous system to have this much amount of like success, love, pleasure, whatever. And so I noticed myself sabotaging it. And that's what I'm saying when I mean like quantum leaps are not always fun because you have to actually like the work doesn't end when the quantum leap hits. It like actually just kind of starts now. We're like, okay, now I need to like feel safe in this new reality. And I didn't have the tools of nervous system regulation specifically when that happened. Like I mentioned, I only found out about it last year. So yeah, when that all happened in 2023, I totally, not totally completely, but I definitely did sabotage it in some way. And so I'm happy now that I know what's been going on. I feel like I have the tools. I'm more equipped. But that's why I said, okay, in 2025, like I don't want to have this huge quantum leap because I actually do want to feel a bit more stable again with everything that I do have now.
Yeah, because it's a big shift. So then we need to anchor it in the nervous system. Like, okay, it's here,
Exactly.
it's happening. This is who I am now. It's fine. We're gonna be fine. Let's enjoy.
Yeah.
Let's not fuck it up. Yes.
Because you can feel like you're gonna lose it all.
Because it's so new, you can also feel like you're gonna lose it all. But luckily, we have these tools, to expand our nervous system, expand our capacity, anchor that, okay, this is my life now. This is my identity now. It's here to stay, and to kind of like also reassure us like everything is fine. And also sometimes when maybe there's one area of our life that goes very, very, very well, to avoid sabotaging maybe other areas of our life, because sometimes we say,
Mm.
okay, maybe now that love is so fantastic, I'm going to, pardon my French, I'm going to fuck it up on the health department. It's like we also need to be able to look at our lives and be like, you know what? Like my business is doing fantastic. My love life is doing fantastic. My health is doing fantastic. Like we can also have it all. And that's also safe,
Mhm.
because then we're going to start like, playing with different things to continue to be in the struggle, to continue to prove ourselves. Yeah, I knew I still had like more work to do, or I know that I still have more blocks. Like it's also fine when things are fine. Like we need to get used to that as well. We don't need to be
Yeah,
always
you don't always
aware.
have to wait.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You don't always have to wait for the other shoe to drop. It's safe to have all of this and actually more. Yes, so true. So like this is the work that has started then for me, like since 2023. And it's made my work that I do with my clients also so much deeper because now I know how it feels like to actually sabotage your success after a quantum leap. And now I can teach or like work with women so much better and more in depth that because I've been there.
Absolutely. Sometimes what people find a little bit tricky with manifestation is, okay, we need to think positive, we need to focus about on the things that we want, but also we're humans and we have all kinds of emotions, and all emotions are there for a reason. They're trying to teach us something. So how would you advise someone to, maybe they're going through grief or anger or fear, some of those low vibrations but still very, very useful and important emotions? So how do we move through those emotions and still manifest the things that we want?
Yeah, such a good question. Well, I think that's a big part of what maybe doesn't get talked about on social media so much, where people feel like they are oversimplifying manifestation, like you said in the beginning, right? Where they're like, okay, just think positive and I don't know, bypass the bad emotions, or like not even bad, just the emotions that don't feel so good. It sounds maybe a bit simple, but how often do we actually do this? It's like to just really pause to actually feel your emotions. When I was working with Becca, for example, because she was helping me a little bit with my nervous system regulation and also like feeling my emotions, I had to literally put a timer on that went off every 2 hours to remind myself to ask, like, okay, how am I actually feeling? Like, where is this feeling sitting in my body? Closing my eyes for at least a minute to actually feel into it and breathe into it. And when I tell you, I got so annoyed with this fucking alarm going off every 2 hours, but it was so important for me because otherwise I would have probably bypassed my emotions. I had to learn that and to actually, I never really had the language for it to even say, okay, I am feeling shame. I am feeling guilt. I am feeling anger and I'm feeling it in my chest or like in my stomach. And it feels like this heavy ball of, I don't know, if the color would be gray. Like it sounds weird when you've never done it before, but that really changed a lot for me is to actually start to, yeah, feel my emotions, pause to feel my emotions, but then and then helping my body to kind of move through them. So again, breath work or even dancing works well for me, or singing is another way. I have playlists for every fucking mood that I could ever be in. It's like when I'm angry, I have my playlist. When I'm sad, to actually help myself like cry or whatever. Or sometimes I punch pillows when I'm angry and to make space for that. But then what I feel is also very important is to not build your whole identity around these emotions. So, for example, when you are maybe going through heartbreak or pain or grief, I feel like it's super easy to fall into those emotions in such a way that you are tying your whole identity around him. So I'm like that heartbroken girl right now, which is not true. Yes, you are experiencing heartbreak at the moment, but I mean, I'm sure you and your listeners have heard this before, but your emotions are just visitors and let them move through you. Sometimes you have to do that 10 times in a day again because they're like just, they're leaving, then they're visiting again, then they're leaving, they're visiting again. But yeah, to actually do that, just to feel your emotions and to use your body and help, yeah, to use your body to move them through you. That's what I
Absolutely.
would do.
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying about putting the body in the equation, because if we are like, okay, let's just think positive, good vibes only, blah, 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 that's fine. Like the mind can be there, the intention can be there. But if your body is still suffering, still in pain, still in fear, still in anger, then it's like, it's fake. Like you're not actually in good vibes. You're actually in anger, in fear, in pain. You're just not even realizing. But when you can process the emotion, sit with yourself, feel where is it in my body? What's going on? Let's move it. Let's sing it. And then you are actually in good vibes, not like fake good vibes, but like actual good vibes. But before you can be there, you need to kind of like clean the things that are.
Exactly. Yeah. What I sometimes give my clients, which I find that very helpful. I don't know if you ever saw that, but you could just Google the emotional frequency scale. I'm sure you've seen that before, right? Where shame is very on the low and then like joy and authenticity, whatever is on top. And I think what we often try to do is like jump straight from shame or sadness, which is all the way on the bottom up to like feeling unconditional love or joy again. And what actually works so much better and what's much easier also is to just like try to work your way up each emotion at a time. So just taking one step. So for example, shifting from sadness to anger. That would, I think it would just be one step on the scale. I think it's like a little life hack. So for me, when I'm really sad and I'm even grieving, I'm like, okay, how can I work myself up? Not to go to feel joy now, but to just feel angry, because that's already one step more up on the emotional frequency scale. And then when I'm feeling angry, I could ask myself, okay, how do I get to feel more like neutral
Hmm.
and move myself up and up and up? That helps me also. Yeah.
I love this. And it's much more gentle, and it's also more realistic. We kind of expect to go, like you said,
Mhm.
from like shame to enlightenment, like this, just because we did a 10-minute meditation. Like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no, it's not working, and then we blame ourselves. We're like, "Oh, I know better. Why isn't this working?" And now some of my clients are sometimes afraid that they are in too much of a negative emotion, and then they're starting to attract negative outcomes because your frequency determines what you attract, whatever. And I think that's also it can be so dangerous for us to feel like, "Oh, I cannot allow myself to feel sad for too long because then I'm going to attract negative things because that's a frequency that I'm." So, yeah, just no, that's not true. Like just, make space for your emotions, feel that, but just don't identify with them and stay stuck in them. And so, like I said, it's just, yeah, I feel like it's easier if you just try to take small steps. It's so much more realistic as well, like you said.
Absolutely. And then in your programs, in your own story, you talk a lot about main character energy. So maybe for a
Yes.
woman who has never heard of this, of course, she might understand the words, but what is this concept and how do you live this concept in your own life?
Yes. It ties beautifully actually into what we just talked about because, yes, when we hear main character energy, of course, I think we kind of understand the concept where we are like, okay, we need to be like the main character in our own life, in our own movie, be able to write our own story, and sit in the driver's seat of our life, essentially. So this is, yes, what we kind of know what that means. But what I more specifically mean when I talk about main character energy also with my clients is like to this concept of the hero's journey. Maybe you've heard about that before, where you're like, every main character in every movie is going through what they call the hero's journey. So they enter a point in their life, let's say, where they want to change something, they're not feeling happy or whatever, and they go on this hero's journey. They're taking the first step out of their life, their traditional life, and how everything has been. And then suddenly this whole new world opens up for them, and they meet new friends or like mentors, people on their way that help them. But they also meet like what we would call in a movie like enemies or people, that don't mean well with you. And there comes a time in the movie where everything is going well, and then suddenly a big fucking challenge enters their life, and they are dealing with something very big where everyone that would be sitting in the cinema is like, shit, like, okay, how are they going to recover from this? What's happening next? And it's this whole drama, but it's really just like the turning point in their hero's journey where they need to rise and evolve and, you know, yeah, like evolve as a person, tackle this challenge to come back on the other side with the gift of this hero's journey and as a changed person. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about main character energy is, you know, first of all, accepting that our life is basically like that. We are just on this fucking hero's journey again and again all the time, deciding that we want to do this, and then all these things happen, and then there's the challenge, and then we overcome that, and we come back with the gold, and then again and again. And so, yeah, just to, especially in the moments when there is a challenge, to remind yourself of that and not use it as a sign to give up or to think that you're not good enough or you don't deserve that or it's the wrong thing, it's not aligned, whatever, all this bullshit that we tell ourselves. And then instead just go, okay, this is the point in my hero's journey where I'm asked to rise and level up. And it's time to like be the main character again. And how would the main, like, basically, I love this question. Like, if your life was a movie, what would the audience scream at you right now that they want you to do? And then this is what you have to kind of do. That's the hero's journey. So yeah, that's what I mean when I talk about main character energy.
I love it. I love it. This is super inspiring. It's a lot more than just being in the center of the movie. It's like really
Yeah.
having the courage. I think there's a sense of bravery in what you're describing. It's like, okay, the challenge. I mean, if there's no challenge, this movie is so boring. Like
Yeah,
we
so
want the
true.
drama, right? A little bit just to make it spicy. And then the hero becomes even bigger because of this challenge. If there wasn't any challenge, then okay, whatever. Like this movie is so boring.
Exactly. So true. And you asked, like, how do I actually live this concept in my own life? Yeah, the bravery, that's one of my biggest values actually, is to just like to be brave and to look for opportunities to do the brave thing. So one thing that also was a big manifestation for me was I was always a horse girl. Like I grew up as a horse girl. I loved horse riding, but I never thought that I would have my own horse before I'm maybe 40 years old and I'm settled with my own family and whatever. And then there was this opportunity that came along to basically save this one specific horse in the stable that I sometimes went to go horse riding uh, from being sold because their owner at the time couldn't afford them anymore. And they were even talking about, I'm trying to find the English word for it right now, but what you do to animals who, they don't find a home and then you just,
Euthanasia.
like, yeah, she would have died. That would have been an option for her. So, and that was a moment in my life where if that would have been a movie, the audience would have yelled, "Do you buy her? Because you already love her. You have such a special connection. Yes, it costs a lot of money. Yes, you have no idea how you're going to afford it because your business is still so young. And do you actually want to put all this responsibility on you and all the things? But deep down, like in your core, in your soul, that's the right thing to do." And so that was one of those moments where I had to go into my main character energy and be like, okay, let's just fucking do it. And it was the best decision of my life, or one of the best decisions, because the way I grew after that, the responsibility, she had a major sickness half a year later where just, I don't know, so many things happened, but now we're having the time of our lives together. Like I'm going on horse rides, like, running through the woods with her. And it's like, I look at these stories, these photos that I take and videos, I'm like, okay, this is actually a movie scene. Like if my younger self could see this right now, she would straight up die if this is not real. And that was a main character energy moment because I had to be brave to do that because my family was not supportive of the decision. And I don't know how it's for you where you live, but here owning a horse is one of the most expensive things that you could do because you pay so much rent for them and food, and when they're sick, it's all just so expensive. And but it kind of worked out, and it also forced me to be even more serious with my business. So it was just like, yeah, there's no option now. This has to work, and then it did.
So beautiful, so beautiful. I knew
Yeah.
that you love horses because I can see the stories and they're in German, but I still see the horse and they look fantastic. But now this gives like a lot more depth and, and a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this. It's so beautiful. And I love this. And I love this idea of what
Yeah.
would the audience be like screaming at you? Like, you get horse, you buy the horse. Like, who else would do it?
Yeah.
Like, you are the hero here. So
Yeah.
so beautiful, so beautiful. And then horses are, I've heard like so many fantastic things, like horses are so empathetic. They can really feel our emotions. They're like these extremely wise animals, very, very wise.
Yeah, and they ground you so much. I feel like she is my main grounding tool, if you will. Um, because I'm forced to be out in nature with her. I see her like not every day, but like 3 to 4 times a week, definitely. And this is one of the moments, I think every person should have one activity in their life where they just like, when I do this, my mind switches off and I'm in the moment and I'm not thinking. And that's what I have with her. I think that's why, oh my God, this sounds so cheesy, but it's true that like not only I saved her, but she also saved me in a way because she, so many things that she was teaching me as well. Yeah.
So beautiful, so beautiful. She's definitely a spirit animal, spirit guide for you as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So, so what is next for you? Speaking about manifestations, so what are you
Yeah.
manifesting now?
Well, I'm actually right now, I'm in this phase in my hero's journey where I'm like being confronted with so many challenges. So this was a good reminder for myself talking about this because I'm definitely now in a phase where so much is happening, especially in my private life right now. My mom is really sick and some other stuff that we're just going through in my family right now. I'm like, okay, it would be so easy to just be like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. And I have days where I feel like that, where you just get tired from being brave and being the main character and actually thinking positive and doing all the things. But yeah, right now I'm manifesting to just like feel better again and have all these things in my private life kind of, how do you say, like when the puzzle pieces are falling down and they're reorganizing themselves. I feel like this is the phase that I'm in right now. And I think it's happening also because Alex and I went to Mallorca in August and celebrated his 30th birthday there, and we fell in love with the island. And we started having these visions of like, because we both were born and raised in Germany, but I don't want to say we hate it here, but we're not loving it. Let's just put it that way. I'm not into the fall and the winter, like cold weather here. I'm craving palm trees, ocean, and summer and sun. And yeah, we were in Mallorca and we fell in love with it. And then we got home and we were asking ourselves, like, why don't we live there? Because we could just live there, and it's definitely possible. And so this is like kind of a vision that's starting to grow. And since we have kind of decided on that, all these other things started to happen. And I feel like this often happens, like when you have a goal or a dream that starts to develop, or a vision that you are getting more and more clear on, life will sometimes throw challenges at you or start to crumble even to kind of almost push you in this direction. Because we also have some things going on at the moment with our apartment, which I don't want to go into too much detail here, but it's things where we're like, okay, this is crazy. Like, what is happening? It's like, yeah, the universe is trying to guide us to actually go about this vision. And so I'm not even sure if I'm like actively manifesting moving to Mallorca right now. It's not like I'm waking up every morning and visualizing me living there, but I think it feels like this is coming for us and it could be like a new chapter. So that's where I'm at right now.
So beautiful. But sometimes it's like that uncomfortable phase, when things need to
Yeah.
fall away, crumble, like the old life, even if, and that's the thing, even if we might really like this life, but maybe there's a new chapter. So this life that we might like or not, it's kind of like it has to fall away, or a certain identity has to fall away. And that's difficult. So that then this new chapter can actually emerge. So it's definitely, I understand that it's definitely not a comfortable position. And I'm really sorry to hear about your mom's health. I hope she's going to be okay. But it sounds
Yeah.
like all these things, all these pieces are going to end up. The universe is very wise in the way it does things. And sometimes we need to surrender. And sometimes the ride, it's like, oh my God, did we really have to go through these things crumbling and falling? And maybe the answer is yes, but there's light on the other side of that.
Yeah, so true. And even with my mom, like she's struggling more with her mental health right now. And it's also because of these conditions that we have here in Germany. I think that's a big influence for her. And
Mhm.
she's a person like she hates change. She would never be like, okay, let's move to Mallorca. But she also does like she wouldn't be happy if I moved to Mallorca and she stayed here. So I also feel like this is also happening because life is almost like yeah, and you're coming with them, like, you're moving with them, like, you need to push so far out of her comfort zone right now to also make changes to her life, and that's part of my vision as well, like, I envision myself if we truly think about more, like, into the future now. I see myself literally living, like, in this village, having my mom, my grandma, my partner, and his parents, and some of my closest friends around us to, like, basically raise children in this village, like, that would be my dream. And maybe, I don't know, but maybe it's these are the first little things that are happening now to kind of, yeah, make this happen in the future. So, yeah, it's definitely uncomfortable at the moment, but it's good to have this knowledge so that, at moments where I do feel very sad and frustrated, I can kind of remind myself that, okay, that's not going to last forever. And it's probably just life rearranging itself to make bigger things happen for us.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And there's this phrase that I loved. You've maybe heard it, but to me, in difficult times, it really saved me to think these too shall pass. These things that are
Mhm.
complicated. I also had my dad in 2023 going through 11 months in intensive care, and then he finally passed away. So it was a really hard year for me. And I was telling myself, these two shall pass, these two shall pass. Yeah, things eventually do rearrange themselves in different ways. Hopefully, your story will end up much nicer than mine
Yeah.
in Mallorca with your mom. I really, really wish this for you. But things are, it's lifing,
Yeah. So
and we need
true.
to
I'm
trust it.
sorry
So
for the loss of your dad.
So, thank you so much, Alisa, for this fantastic conversation on all things manifestation. Also, for bringing, this side, because sometimes when we talk about manifestation, it's like I love these sparkles and these like Instagram things, and I think we've in this conversation we've been really able to touch on. Okay, we're humans. We have real emotions. We can go through pain. We can go through heartbreak, and we can still dream and we can still be the heroes in our own story. So thank you so much for bringing all of the nuances of this topic so that we can get out of the like Instagram bubbly, even though Instagram is beautiful and we love it, but the Instagram bubbly thing, and we can talk of like real human beings living real actual lives. So where can listeners find you online in case they want to hang out with you, look at your beautiful pictures on your horse, and just even connect with you, talk to you, etc.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I actually also enjoyed this conversation so much, and I love the questions that you asked me, and I love that we've been able to go deeper on the topic. And to me, it's always super important to talk about both aspects and not just have this be such a bubbly, fluffy topic, like you said, but actually talking about the human experience in it or the human behind it all. So it was great to talk to you. And yeah, for anyone who wants to maybe go deeper into my, I don't know, world or work, even, I have to say it's all in German. So that's very unfortunate. But maybe you have some German listeners, or like you said, just people who want to come for the vibes. then they could definitely find me on Instagram. It's at Alisa Preetz. I'm sure you're going to maybe put that into the show notes. And yeah, and my podcast, Inspire Your Soul, is also, I do have some English episodes there, also with the mentor that we both worked with. Yeah, but I think Instagram would be the first step where you could find me best.
And even though the content might be in German, you speak English. So if they ever have a question, they want to reach out to you, they want to work with you, they can work with you in English. So
yeah,
I always like to finish the episodes with some 3 rapid fire questions, completely intuitive. So are you ready?
Yes, I was born ready. Let's go.
So the first one is, when was the last time you felt bliss?
Probably on a horse ride with my horse. Like I said, like it was a beautiful fall day. The sun was shining and I was just out with her in the forest. That was nice. Just a couple days ago.
So beautiful. Can you think of one idea that fundamentally changed your life?
Oh, yes, probably. Well, one idea. I mean, there are so many, and then when you have to come up with one, you're like, oh, where are they? You know. I think for me, what started this whole journey for me was to learn that I should only manifest desires that are truly mine, because many people are manifesting someone else's dream, like their mentor's dream, their parents' dream, or even society's dream. And so a question that really changed things for me was to ask myself, if no one would see or could see what I was doing or could see my life, like on Instagram, for example, would I still want this specific thing? Like, would I still want to have this horse? Would I still want to coach clients? Would I still want to live in this apartment? All these things. And if the answer is yes, then I know, okay, this is actually an alignment for me. And that's also then what has been accelerating everything. Because then if it's truly an alignment, it will come, and it will come quick. So yeah, I would say this.
And if you could choose one rule that everybody in the world needs to obey, what would it be?
To be kind to each other. And if you have nothing kind to say, just don't say anything. And maybe smile more.
Yes, that would definitely be a better world. And I know many people who
Yes.
This would be a better world if they would shut up, but that's another story.
Yeah, so true.
Started by some presidents of some countries.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Great rule.
Just mute. Smile. Thank you so much, Alisa, for your time, for your beautiful energy, for your wisdom. Thank you so much for really sharing all of these different bits and pieces of yourself and really bringing a really soulful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mercedes.
I will see my listeners in the next episode, and in the meantime, in Blisstopia we trust. If you loved this episode, spread the word, share the episode with a friend who would love to hear this, subscribe to the show, and leave a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or YouTube. This real quick action on your side helps the podcast grow, reach more women around the world, and it would literally make my day. I will see you next Friday for the next episode, and in the meantime, in Blisstopia we trust.